Hello, how do you do? Today I will be taking you to England, so stay tuned. Today I want to show you a very English recipe. It doesn't get more English than that. We're going to do a cottage pie. But before we start cooking, as usual, I want to introduce you to a cocktail. And today we'll be doing a classic, one of the oldest cocktails there is. We're going to do a John Collins. So the cocktail has been made somewhere between 1719 and 1817 by a guy named John Collins in Lime's Old House in Mayfair, England. So what you're going to need for that is, of course, a glass. You're going to need some ice, you're going to need some lemon juice, simple sugar syrup, lemons, maraschino cherries, carbonated water, and of course, gin. Some recipes, well, they say you're going to use some bourbon for that, but honestly, the first time I drank it was with gin, and that's how I actually loved it. I'm going to do it by hand because I'm going to do it for myself anyway. Some barkeep's going to go crazy now. For the second thing, I'm going to put some maraschino cherries, like a couple just for color. And some people say you're going to need to stir it or you're going to shake it before you put the fizz in. But in my opinion, when you put some fizz in, or say, old habits. But when you put some fizz in, I reckon you don't need to shake or stir it at all. The fizz is going to do the job for you. So 40 grams up to 50 grams of gin, then about 20 grams, 20 mils of lemon juice, about 20 to 30 grams of sugar syrup, and you just top it up with some carbonated water. So a clear, tall drink. Let's put some more lemons in for garnish, maybe one more maraschino cherry just on top. So cheers. All right, now we can start cooking. So for the cottage pie, the ingredients you're going to need are some peeled potatoes, 500 grams of mince. So for 500 grams of mince, you probably need around 500 to 700 grams of potatoes, depending on the size of your dish. Onions, already pre-cut them, tomatoes, some cream for the mash, some stock powder, some garlic, some button mushrooms. The best are probably Swiss browns, but I'm going to use button mushrooms, some sun-dried tomatoes, butter for the mash, and I'm going to add some Worcestershire sauce just to finish it up. Okay, so first let's put the potatoes on boil. Of course, remember to salt the water. The water should be really nice and salty. So while this is going, let's start with the beef mince. Take a pan, bring it up to heat, add some olive oil or some normal usual canola oil will do as well. Wait for it till it's nice and hot before you put your ingredients in. And you start with your onions. Just slightly caramelize it, sweat it actually. When the onion starts caramelizing, it's time for your mushrooms. You don't need to chop the mushrooms too fine because you're going to cook it for so long they're going to break up anyways. So just stir it up. And now it's time for your sun-dried tomatoes. So once the mushrooms are slightly caramelized and already a little bit glassy, that's the time for your beef mince. So check it all one piece, but later on just make sure you break it up as much as you can. And now you want to reduce the liquid in it as much as possible. You want to get rid of it. You don't want your beef mince soupy. So stir it up, make sure you combine all the ingredients. You can turn up the heat for now, just a little bit, and just sear it off. Once the beef mince is completely seared off, that's the time where you can put your tomatoes in. One and a half ripe tomatoes, absolutely enough. I'm already put my 2 cloves of garlic inside, just like so. A little bit of seasoning. I'm going to use stock powder, about 1 or 2 tablespoons, and give it a nice stir. Okay, so now you want those flavors to combine and you want the mince to cook off and you want the tomatoes to break apart. So what you can do, you can top it up with water. I'm going to do it with some beef stock. Just cover it up reduce your heat to sort of like a medium heat. You don't want to burn it, you want to slowly reduce it. And you want to reduce it down, as I said, to basically down to the beef mince. You don't want your beef mince to be soupy. Just add some salt and pepper. Stir it, taste it, and now just wait for the potatoes and the beef mince to reduce. Let's quickly check the taters. Okay, they're nice and soft, so now they need to be drained. And once the potatoes are drained, we're gonna do some mash. I like a lot of butter and a dash of cream. You don't want your puree to be too smooth. You want it kind of chunky. By the way, I think chunky is one of my favorite English words. So I'm gonna break it up just with my fork, just so it combines with the butter and the cream, but I'm not gonna pass it through a sieve or anything like that. In a restaurant, I probably would. Mix it through. Of course, check for seasoning. Yeah, that's perfect. All right, that's it. So now just keep it warm and wait for your beef mince. Okay, once the mince reduced down, I'm gonna add a couple of drops of my Worcestershire sauce. I always keep it to last just to make sure you can actually taste it. And now, yeah, now you just need to put it in an oven-proof baking dish. I'm gonna use a spoon for that. If there's some liquid left, you can put some in. Just make sure, as I mentioned before, it's not too soupy. There you go, make sure it's nice and even. Spread it out. As you can see, there's not much liquid left in the pan, but it's still nice and juicy. You don't want it too dry either, right? Spread out the mince. Make sure you press it a little bit. You don't want it to be too loose because then it's going to be much harder to put the mash on. So now it's time for the potatoes. If you're asking yourself about the ratio of potatoes to the mince, I'm sort of always saying like 50-50, although it's more about the mince in the dish rather than the potatoes. The potatoes is a filler, so you don't need as much as the mince. At least I don't like it when it's too much potatoes and not enough mince. All right, just make sure you spread it now, kind of gently, so you don't poke holes in it. Some English grandma is probably getting a heart attack seeing what I'm doing, but it's how I like it. Now the dish goes in the oven at about 200 degrees Celsius for about 10 minutes or until the potatoes on the top are colored. So I'm guessing it's about 10 minutes. Okay, the 10 minutes are up. Let's check it. That already looks beautiful. So let's take it out. Make sure you don't burn yourself. There you go. Remember, it's hot, so you need to kind of border something so you don't burn your tablecloth. And that's your cottage pie. Okay, so I can't wait. Let's dig in. Oh. That looks absolutely awesome. So, if you like this recipe, just hit the like button. If you want to see more, just hit subscribe. If there's a recipe you want me to try, just leave a comment in the comment section. I thank you guys very much for watching and cheers, have a good time.